Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Armando with the HiFi Brothers. Have you ever wondered how you can hook up any turntable or record player to your Sonos system? Let's do this. Well, welcome to today's episode, everybody. So if you've been following our channel for quite some time, or if you've been on our Instagram page, you'll see that a lot of our photos are centered around my Vintage HiFi system. Over the years, I've swapped out components, and the one biggest part of it was adding it to my Sonos system, because as I got more into Sonos, I was adding more speakers throughout the house, and I just wanted to be able to play a record and broadcast it to different rooms of my house, or just the whole house in general, like when I'm having a party, etc. So I've actually showcased in older videos of what components I actually had that go into that system, but I've never really shared into that in further detail. Also, a few videos ago, I did a video on whether or not I should keep some of my Vintage HiFi just because it was getting old. Some of them weren't working that much anymore. I'm not a very savvy person. I have my explainer video right above us. The only component that I actually kept from that system is my record player, and it's still connected to my Sonos system today, and I wanted to show you exactly how I go about doing that, because depending on the record player that you choose really is going to be a crucial decision into how you actually connect it to Sonos. So let's just get to it right now. Once you decide on a record player, there's going to be one thing that you're going to need to look out for is whether or not it actually has a built-in phono preamp. If you go with a vintage record player like I have here, a lot of those older record players did not have a built-in preamp, which required you to actually hook it up to a receiver. Doesn't have to be from that time period. You just needed to have a receiver that actually had a phono preamp that's built in. Just because if you hook it up, and I've done this too, you're not going to hear much any sound out of it. You'll have it full blast and you'll barely hear anything. So that's why the preamp is crucial, because it pushes out that volume for you, so that way you don't have to have it, full blast. You can have it at a normal volume. A lot of more modern or newer record players do have preamps that are built in, and you can actually switch them on and off. If you have it on there, great, then you can skip this next step. If it doesn't, then you're gonna need to get an amp. So what I did was I went on Amazon and I found, I don't wanna say the cheapest, but the most inexpensive one that had very good ratings to it. And this bring me to the Pyle PP999 phono preamp. And it's a very basic device. You can see here it's very, very small. It has a couple connectors on it. It has an out and an in, RCA in. Also has a ground, which is really good, especially for vintage, and I'll show you that in a second here. And then it has a dedicated DC power in, because you're gonna need to drive power to this box. Now, there's better ones out there. You'll go on Amazon, you'll see that there's ones with vacuum tubes. There's just really way more higher quality, so it depends on like how crazy do you wanna go with it. Do you just wanna go with just something that works and sounds pretty decent? Or do you wanna take it to the next level and get something like with vacuum tubes that's gonna cost you in the hundreds of dollars range? But that would be the first step, is making sure you got one of these. The second step is the actual Sonos component that you're gonna need to actually connect it to your Sonos ecosystem, so you can toggle it on in the app and then obviously play the sound throughout your Sonos system. The one component that I actually have here is an older product, and I'm okay with old products. We've made a lot of videos about Sonos old products that still work, and again, I'll put a card above us now so you can watch that video. But this is a Connect, and it's probably, I want to say, around 7 or 8 years old. It still works really well. I had really no meaning to get the newest version of this, which is actually called the Port. I would call myself a budget audiophile. If you don't know me by now, I like to save money on where I can just to make things work. I don't need to get the latest and greatest. So if you're a person that needs to get the latest and greatest, you might want to look at the Sonos Port, which actually does the same as this. Otherwise, if you go with a used product or an older product that still works and gets you what you need to do, then go with the Connect. Once you have this, then you'll be able to connect your record player to the preamp, and then the preamp to this device, and then you'll be able to play it through the app. So let me actually show you guys a quick tutorial of how you could do it. So you can see here's our Pyle phono preamp, and then here's our Connect. And then I'm not going to get everything in the shot here, but I'm going to at least do the best I can with just letting you know where every wire is coming from and how it's connected. So this right here is the RCA out that is coming from my turntable. And you can see with these older ones, they have your basic white and your red. And then it also has a ground wire, which I know a lot of newer turntables don't typically have this, but this one in particular does have it. What's nice about this preamp, and with most I would say, it does have already a ground component that has it included. So that's kind of what I'm going to do first, is just connect that ground. And then you'll see it says line, it just says in here. And then for some reason, this one is mislabeled. You can see it says R and an L. Let me try to get that closer for you. But look at the colors. So it's kind of misleading, right? It is going to go, left is going to be your right and a white, and then your red is going to be your red. So I don't know why they did it that way. I actually reached out to them about it because that can be confusing for people that are used to, hey, white goes with white and, you know, red goes with red, obviously. And then it's got right and left. So that's a little confusing. So, but once you have your in and your ground wire, that's pretty much it. That's coming from the record player. And then you have your out. So you can see here it says L out R. So then you're going to get your other set of RCA cables, and then you're just going to go ahead and plug those in to the appropriate ones. So left with white, and then your red with your right. And then comes the actual Sonos component. So this is where you're going to want it to go to in. So you can see here on the Sonos Connect, it's got a bunch of connectors. There's actually digital out, so we're not going to need that for this specific example. And then there's analog out and there's analog in. Now, when I had my stereo, I actually had used the analog out to go back into my receiver just in case I wanted to hear the sound through my stereo. So that would be the instance in where you would want to use this. But if whatever you're connecting to this, so it doesn't have to be a turntable, it could be like a cassette player as well, or, you know, maybe a reel-to-reel player or something else. So red with red, and then obviously white, or left and right. And then that's pretty much it. You plug everything in, and then I guess I'll just show you quickly how it looks like in the app. All right, so here is the app tutorial, and I'm going to do the best I can with keeping it straight. But once you open your app, if everything's connected correctly, when you're on the home screen here, when you go down to the bottom, you'll see it says your sources, and it says line in. So I'm pretty sure that this would say this for whether you have this hooked up to a Connect, a port, or even directly through the line in of your like Era 100, 5, or Era 300s, or anything else Sonos that you have a line in for. You should have that option there. So once I click on this, then you'll see it says, I labeled it record player, and it says audio component, so I'm going to click there. And then once it's connected, you'll see that you'll have the options here of line in. Right now it's playing in my kitchen, but I also want to play it in here in the TV room so you can all hear it. So I'm going to select that as well. Let me put the volume up just slightly. And then I have to go to my record player. And then you can just stop it like you normally would with any of your other streaming services. So it's a pretty cool way of just adding, I would say, older equipment to your Sonos system to kind of future-proof it. Yeah, that's it for the actual tutorial. Now, hopefully that tutorial was very helpful for those of you that are choosing to add a record player to your Sonos system. One thing that I failed to mention was you don't actually need a port or connect for that process. That's just because that's what I have. But some of Sonos's products, like the Era 100s, the Era 300s, even the 5s, they do have a line-in component, right? Which is a 3.5mm jack. So you could actually connect a record player that way, and that means you wouldn't need the port or the connect. But if you are going to use a record player that's older, again, you need to have a phono preamp. in order for it to work properly. Even if you're using the line in, you just won't have enough power to juice that through. I do know that there are record players that are sold on Sonos's website that are considered like Sonos certified. Doing some research on it, besides the phono preamps that are built into those. So if you have a record player in mind that is not sold on Sonos's website, as long as it follows those tips that I gave you, does it have a built-in preamp? You know, how are you going to connect it to your Sonos? Is it through 3.5 millimeter line in, or do you need like an RCA solution like the Connect or the port? But yeah, you should be fine. But again, if you have any questions or anything like that, maybe I wasn't clear in the video and you need a little bit more clarity, please drop a comment, ask a question. We usually will get back to you if you ask us questions. You could also visit our Instagram site and ask us there too. We're here to help you out as best as we can, and we usually will do a good job in getting back to you. But yeah, I think that concludes our video. So make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. And as always, keep it hi-fi.